I'm Al McFarland. Welcome to the conversation with Al McFarland. I'm glad to be here. I'm glad to have you along today. Today is Wednesday, February 4th, 2026. A lot going on here in Twin Cities and around the world. I'm going to touch on a few things, but we want to first thank you who are connecting with us across any of the social media platforms, Insight News, Facebook page, Insight News YouTube channel, also LinkedIn, and I think LinkedIn. That's it. Those are the ones that we're streaming to live. Black Press USA, I believe, we're still connected there. If we're not, we'll be promoting the program on their YouTube channel later on. So we're here in Minneapolis, and Minneapolis I'm calling ground zero, the epicenter. That's because we still remember and feel the impact of the murder of George Floyd 5 years ago, this past summer on the 5th anniversary of his slaying by Minneapolis police officers. We hosted a series of programs at George Floyd Square. And that place, I say, is a sacred place because it shook the conscience of the community and awakened the conscience of the world. One of the things we're going to do today is talk about activity that will be happening at George Floyd Square. And I'll be doing that in conversation with my sister, Kenya McKnight Ahad. Kenya is here, and Kenya and I both are welcoming attorney Malik Zulu Shabazz, who is also leading an initiative to create awareness and engagement right here in Twin Cities in response to what's happening in Twin Cities with ICE and around the country. And we'll talk about more things as well. But I want to first say to anybody, all of you listening, thank you for listening. Be a part of the conversation. We'll put a QR code in the screen here. And if you want to come on and talk with us, we want to invite you to do just that. You can also just hang out with us on the chat, and we'll shout you out wherever you are. So we thank you. And thanks, Sister Naima said we're still connected. Our brother, Richter, we're still connected on Black Press USA, so great. Let's bring in attorney Malik Shabazz right now as well. Good afternoon, brother. Good afternoon, sister. How are you guys doing?
I'm doing fine. It's a pleasure to be on with you.
A pleasure to have you here. Kenya, you alerted me to this important meeting coming this week. Let me have you introduce both yourself and brother Shabazz and the events coming up this weekend. And we'll keep referring to that because we want people to plug in and show up.
Yes, we do. Thank you. So Kenya McKnight Ahad, founder, CEO of the Black Women's Wealth Alliance, and local, partner helping to support coordination for the Emergency Black Leadership Summit that is organized and led by a coalition of leaders that include attorney Malik Zulu Shabazz. He's also the president of the Black Lawyers for Justice and a member of the Black Panther movement nationally. So thank you for being a part of this, Malik, and I'll turn it back over to you, Mr. McFarland.
Okay, well, let me go into a little of the bio. I'm looking at yours on Wikipedia. Malik Zulu Shabazz, an American attorney, served as chairman of the New Black Panther Party, and is the current national president of Black Lawyers for Justice, which he co-founded. Your Wikipedia statement says you stepped down from the leadership position at the New Black Panther Party, and that Hashim Nzinga, who was National Chief of Staff, will replace you. We'll talk about that. So thank you for what you're doing. Welcome. Tell us what's going to happen here in Minneapolis this weekend, and we'll go from there.
Okay, thank you so much. On behalf of Black Lawyers for Justice, and on behalf of a coalition of leaders who are coming across the country, we're coming to meet and organize with some of Minneapolis' finest local and state organizers this Saturday to address a national crisis that's occurring in Minnesota. And so we're teaming up together with Ms. Kenya, who we honor greatly, And we have an emergency summit that we want all of Black Minneapolis to show up for, because we're here to say that the ICE problem is our problem too. That police brutality is a problem for all Black people, and whatever form that it comes in. If it comes from the Derek Chavins and the Minneapolis police that have choked us out, or if it's coming from the National Guard, or if it's coming from ICE, that it's a common problem that affects our people. And so we're coming together to deal with police brutality. We're coming together to deal with Black issues in Minneapolis and around the country, because Black leadership needs to come together. And so I'm happy to be coming in there with the Black Panther movement and other leaders from national civil rights organizations and reparations organization, because we're here to help, and we're not going to go under the covers and hide from these issues.
Which events are public and where will they be? And how can people connect, show up, and support?
Okay, I know that at 3:30 on Saturday the 7th, first of all, I want to thank Jonathan Mason. I'm going to be out in the field at the state capitol with him, and we're going to be in the field at the state capitol with him at noon. There's a lot going on. There's anti-ICE demonstrations. There are white supremacists coming into town. So we're going to be at the state capitol at noon. We're conducting legal observations as well as other actions. At 3:30, I'm going to be at the George Floyd Square. I'm going to be at the George Floyd Square with other Black lawyers, because we're doing a legal training for anybody that wants to attend. But that I'm sponsoring a legal training for one of my specialties, and that's know your rights against all forms of police. And so from 3:30 to 5 on Saturday the 7th, I'm at George Floyd Square. At 5 o'clock, we can convene our national meeting. We got Howard University students coming also, and people from around Minnesota, a list of local leaders, national leaders. And that meeting is going to be, Miss Kenya, help me. Help me with the Saturday location, because we were going to be at Zara Center, but we've upgraded. So she's going to tell us.
Yeah, we'll be at the Thor building on Penn and Plymouth Avenue, 1256 Penn Avenue on the 5th floor, from the 5 to 10 for the summit.
That's the Thorn building, is that right?
Thor.
So we're going to be in the conference room at the Thor building
On the 5th floor.
1256 Pennsylvania, right?
Penn, just Penn.
1256 Penn Avenue in Minneapolis, and that's where we're going to be Saturday, and we're urging everybody to come out so we can put our national heads together and our state heads together and show that Black people are not asleep, and that we're aware of our problems and taking action.
So, brother, I want to ask you to sit with a couple of ideas that you touched on in your opening remarks. One is this notion that has been kicked around, where people are saying that the ICE issue is not Black people's issue. There's this ambivalence about what happened in the election. Latino people were saying, I voted for Donald Trump. Some Somalis they've had on TV saying they supported Donald Trump. And there's been a debate, and sort of a feeling of disengagement, and sometimes advising our people to not put ourselves and our bodies on the line in the streets for other people's problems. I don't know about that. What are your thoughts? Are these other people's problems, or are these our problems as well?
I don't agree with that. As a Black person of African descent, what they call an Afro descendant, I do want to say that any problem with Donald Trump and any police that comes from his direction is my problem. That any police action that comes from the President of the United States is a problem for Black lawyers for justice, whether that's FBI, National Guard, ICE, or otherwise. I further want to say that for me, the Black Somalian problem is my problem. The Black Jamaican problem is my problem. That if it's a Black person that's inside of America, or for me, anywhere in the world, but let's just stay inside of America. If you're of African descent and you're inside of these borders of 2,000 by 3,000 miles, and you're being assaulted or intimidated by this government, then your problem is my problem, and it matters not to me whether you are registered as an American citizen or you on a visa or you just snuck across the border. You are my brother or my sister, and I want to see my black Somalian, my black Eritrean, my black Dominican. These are my sisters and my brothers. Their problems are my problems because I'm a person of African descent, and I believe in fighting for my people all over the world. So on the issue, so again, to summarize, when it comes to the issue of police brutality, that's why we're here. We know that if what is allowed to happen to ICE is happening to our black African brothers and sisters, let alone Latino, that's coming to us. That this is a testing ground. If we roll over for this, then Trump is going to have us roll over for something next. Okay, and third, that this is not just about ICE. Our meeting, our summit is not just about ICE. It deals with ICE, but we're talking about our problems as a people. Emergency summit as a people. So our issues are many. They're police brutality, their apathy, their disunity. We're calling for a black united front, an African united front, so we can stand together. So we have to organize, and we can't keep making excuses because at some point the excuses are going to run out.
Mhm. I'm Al McFarland. This is The Conversation with Al McFarland, talking with attorney Malik Zulu Shabazz and my colleague here in Twin Cities, leader, entrepreneur extraordinaire, motivator, and community builder, Kenya McKnight Ahad, and talking about an important event coming up this Saturday. Uh, uh, and that is a convening, an emergency convening of Black leadership. Who are the people coming on the national to join you in this convening, Attorney Shabazz?
Thank you so much. I have Mr. John Barnett. John Barnett is one of the top national civil rights activists in this country. He's the leader of True Healing Under God, and I suggest artificial intelligence in this instance. If you want to know accurately about John Barnett, just go to Chat GPT.
Mhm.
And I'm sorry to say, don't go to Wikipedia if you want accuracy on my
Okay.
Go to
Okay.
Chat GPT. They're the ones that give me a fair reading of what I actually do. So go to Chat
I
GPT.
edited on the fly the chat. You saw me editing on the fly the stuff from Wikipedia.
Get accurate. You'll get accurate because there's a lot of misinformation out there. We have from the National Reparations League, Mr. Rashad Singleton, who's flying in from Florida of the National Reparations League. Reparations is on our agenda for Saturday. Reparations for our people here in America. We also have from the Black Panther Movement, Sheikh Imam Akbar, the national ambassador, and the national Pan-African director, Momoja Ajabu, is also coming in, an activist again from Howard University student movement and from Cincinnati and other cities. Those are who are coming from around the country. Miss Kenya knows who will be teaming up with us locally.
Mhm. And who are you reaching out to, Kenya? Who do you expect to show up to be part of the leadership conversations on Saturday?
Al
And
McFarland. No.
there you go.
So at the George Floyd Square, we will be at the Listen to Us studio, Demetrius
Mhm.
King. That's where the free legal clinic will be held and training. And we're collaborating with local leaders like Anika Robbins. I've reached out to several folks, including Leslie Redmond, James Trice, Elder Spike Moss, several others. So we're still confirming some panelists there, but Aisha Richardson, formerly of Mabo, to coordinate more Black lawyers locally, as well as Kevin Lacey and several others. But I'm open. We still want folks to collaborate. join on, this is still open. So you got some
Attorney,
recommendations, we'll be there. I'm open to that.
Attorney Shabazz, I'm looking at the chat, and thanks to Dora Jones. She's got a series of comments here that I think, relate to what we were talking about at the beginning. And so I want you to sort of hear the train of thought. She says, we're always ready to fight for everyone else but ourselves. And she goes on to say, that's why we're always behind the 8 ball. We stand for everything but ourselves. And I think you addressed that, but I'd like you to address it again because it's easy to say, the
Okay.
house next door is burning and think it's not going to burn my house, and this fire is all consuming. And I would say that the fire that's lit, we're the real object of the fire. The goal is to get us, and everything else is preparation and strategy and tactical to how to put us in a position to be once again enslaved, destroyed, marginalized, dispersed, you name, the atrocity. But we know we're living in a community where the history is a history of atrocities, and we should not be lulled into sleeping that it cannot occur again. Am I off base in my assessment?
No, you're on base, and let's get right into the base. Our summit on Saturday at the Thor Building in the conference room at 1256 Penn Avenue. This is an emergency Black summit to deal with Black issues. Okay, so to answer that squarely, we're taking our responsibility as Black people to convene our leadership together to further our strategic acts and to further the building of a united front. That's called the Responsible Leadership Act. It would be irresponsible to let issues of any sort keep running on, and the leadership does nothing to address it on a national and local level. So we're coming together to deal with our issues, which include police brutality, which include reparations, which include a host of issues in the what I'm hearing about in the Minnesota area. There's apathy amongst Black men. There's lack of involvement of Black men in the struggle. There's a need since George Floyd for police patrols. I've been called to Minneapolis specifically because there's a need for a Black activist attorney that knows federal litigation and it deals with the police to be readily available and involved. So I've been invited on a general level for police brutality. So to the caller, this is not an anti-ICE summit. Of course, ICE will be discussed. Of course, that I'm against ICE, but I don't want anybody to think that this is an anti-ICE summit because they're attacking the brown community. ICE will be addressed, but this is about Black issues, and that's why we're fighting for Black people, and we want you to come out to tell us what your issues are, and hopefully that those people that are watching, if you want to be proactive and get involved beyond social media, then this is the place. Okay, so that's where we are. We're swirling on Black issues, sir, and that's it. That's it. We're here to deal with Black problems. Now, me as an individual lawyer, I don't have any problem telling you that I don't like what they're doing to brown people, that I grew up in Los Angeles, California, that I don't like what's happening to brown people. I'm so Black. They say I'm charcoal Black, that I'm crispy Black, jet Black. I've been so Black. When you read about me on Wikipedia, I'm too Black for everybody. So if the blackest man that y'all know since Khalid Muhammad is doing his work, but I also will tell you, I don't have a problem with saying that all oppressed people, all non-white people in America and on the planet must unite against white supremacy. I stand behind that. I say we have a common enemy. But of course, it's Black first. We're Black first. And that's just our position. We too Black, too strong, but I am a part of a international I'm a Pan-Africanist, and I'm part of the world community that's fighting white supremacy. I can't deny that. I'm looking for any allies against white supremacy, sir. I'm looking for any ally against Donald Trump.
What do you think is the end game of this administration? ICE being one element of it. You mentioned that this is like maybe a testing ground where if Minnesota lays down, they've proved their strategy and they'll implement that strategy in other cities across the country. I believe that to be the case. I believe that, and the interviews I've done with people in the past several days all suggest that. What's happening is not isolated, it's planful, and it's a broad plan. It's all reflective of the Project 2025 intention of establishing permanence for a white supremacist regime. When our president said to his potential voters, when the president, not our president, said to his potential voters, vote for me and you won't have to worry about elections again in the future. What does that mean? What could he be talking about? And is it possible that the people who are moneyed, who are rich, the billionaire club that support this administration and that are benefiting from it wholesale and out front in public, is their intention to solidify and permanentize their position in a way that's public and that's global and that continues to consolidate wealth at the expense of the many all over the planet, including their own people? What do you think?
I think there's nothing that you could put past Donald Trump. And when I say nothing, I mean absolutely nothing. What we see abroad is what he has done at home and what he desires to do in America if he can get away with it. The way that he positions and takes battleships, aircraft carriers, and armada around the world and has bombed over 9 or 10 nations right now. And the way he kills people outright without probable cause or without any evidence is what he desires to get away with at home if he could, but he's testing it abroad.
That number is new to me. You said 9 or 8 countries bombed. Which ones are you talking about? I'm not familiar with that number. I'm aware of Venezuela.
I'm talking about Yemen. I'm talking directly bomb Yemen. You remember with the big controversy with Defense Secretary Hegseth when he leaked it on his chat. Okay, so they bomb Yemen, they bombed Syria, they bombed Iran, they bombed Venezuela. He bombed off the coast of Mexico. I believe it was in Mexican waters.
In the Pacific coast, the Pacific side, I believe, yeah.
Pacific side of Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
He's bombed. What I'm saying, I have the rest of the list. This guy's bombed so much. I got a bombing list on him. He's bombing more than any president. And we're not saying that he's the only president that is bombed. Now, for the record, we hate to say it, but Barack Obama has his hands in the death of Muammar Gaddafi in the bombing of Libya. And George Bush Jr. bombed Iraq, and they had Saddam Hussein killed out in the desert. So this guy's a madman. In a few days, he's going to bomb Iran again. They're going to bomb Iran again in just a few days. And so to get to the point, sir, he could be prepping. He could be prepping to bring Black people into forms of concentration camps in America, depending on how much we will take. If we will constantly see him encroaching and violating the Constitution, violating human rights, and if we can sit back and see ICE run wild and do nothing, well, he'll come attacking us. And so I could see suspension of the Constitution. I can see forms of martial law. I can see any kinds of actions against Black or African people. You have a weak Congress that won't stand up to the president, that won't stand up to him in any shape or form. You have a virtual rollover Supreme Court. And so I cannot say at all that Black people's liberty as a whole, that our liberty, our freedom would not be at stake under this white supremacist madman, Donald Trump.
So, I think people need to, along those lines, Attorney Shabazz, uh, raise questions about the opening of a new detention center, ICE headquarters in Milwaukee. This past couple of days, there was a news show on where people of conscience, religious leaders were out in front of a facility that had been either built or renovated, but apparently it's going to be the ICE regional headquarters. And there are stories about several planned 10,000 capacity detention centers that'll be operating under the aegis of DHS, Homeland Security, or ICE. And so this is real. And then the question is, ought we remember that our country has demonstrated its ability to round up citizens in the past? And what would keep it from doing it now and in the future? Just think back to, the internment of Japanese American citizens during World War II, and think back further to the wholesale internment of enslaved Africans. So the history shows what is capable, what is possible, and we would be foolish not to pay attention to what has happened and what could happen. Question is, what do we do? What does paying attention mean? And how do we protect ourselves, our future, and who we want to become as free people on the planet going forward? What do you think?
I think your observations are correct. I think they're insightful. Sir, whether we live or die, and I believe we'll live, we have to have a leadership with courage. Whatever happens to our people, we should not face it without a fight or go down without a fight, and we can't close our eyes to the fight. I can't put anything past this devil Donald Trump, but I do know that as an organizational leader and as a political leader and as a man that my people depend on, that they will see me and hear me and see me act in this hour, and I will stand in this hour. And if I go down, I'm going to go down shooting, and I'm going to go down standing, and I won't go down hiding and making excuses if I have to be the first one to go down with the ship. So that's all I can tell you, sir. What we need is broadcasters of courage, lawyers of courage, activists like Sister Kenya and Jonathan Mason and the others of courage. And so what we have to have is courage and intelligence and foresight in this hour. And that's the best I could offer. I want more. I want more things in my possession to deal with it. But in certain respects, as a Black or an African people, we're a couple of 100 years behind in what we need. We need somebody to come in here and intervene on our behalf. I wish there was an African nation that could pull up on America with battleships and aircraft carriers and say, you harming them people, and if you harm one more Black person inside of America, these planes and missiles are going to come raining down on Washington, D.C. and your capital. I wish, but we're hundreds of years behind in that, sir. But I can tell you this, sir, my prayer, my sacrifice, my life, and my death are all for my people. And I think that that's what we need right now. Leadership that's fearless and leadership that will take a stand and offer their lives. And so I offer my life, and that's the best I can do.
In the YouTube chat.
My fellow leadership.
Sure. In the YouTube chat, the Doc Sanchez says we're 5 years past where we think we are. I'm not sure what that means. The Doc Sanchez, say more if you would, if you want to come on and talk. We can send you a link and you can explain that. I'm Al McFarland. This is a conversation that's important. We're promoting and informing people about a leadership meeting happening this weekend. Bring Sister Kenya back in, and let's keep saying and inviting our viewers and listeners in our community to show up this Saturday for an important convening, an emergency meeting in Black leadership. Unmute Kenya.
Yes, and it's so refreshing to hear. Your words, Brother Malik. And so thank you so much for that. This Saturday, we'll be convening, as Brother Malik mentioned, the state capitol at 12 p.m. Alongside Brother Jonathan. And then at 3:30, we'll be at the George Floyd Square at the Listen to Us studio, providing a legal training and legal services to Black people there. Black attorneys will all be there gathered. So we encourage everybody to come there, as well as part of our pull up. This is where we're going to be. Let's make a statement right there for Black justice, right? Through our legal leadership, our activists. We need everybody present. And so we intend to hold a big press conference there as well, in coordination with, Black attorneys and Black people. And then from 5 to 10, we'll be at the, I'm sorry, let me back up for those who may not know, the George Floyd Square, 38th in Chicago. The studio is located at 3730 Chicago Avenue. So that's where the actual clinic will be. And then we'll be at 1256 Penn Avenue North in Minneapolis at the Thor building on the 5th floor. Come into the parking lot and park. You'll see signage. We'll be greeting you there. We'll have some light refreshments, some food, and conversation. So, and leadership right there. We'll have a panel of folks, national and local leaders, who will be sharing a lot of insights. We'll take question and answers. We're doing base building. So we're not just there to talk, we're there to build. And we're there for folks to also join on to this as a continued, not only conversation, but movement and action of folks who are really standing up continuously to make things happen. So we know there's some local, things that are happening, but we're about trying to really make sure we connect to a larger, a broader national framework and movement of people. It's where we are. It's the history of our community. This is what we've always done. This isn't new. This is who we are. And it's who we have to continue to be through generations. And so we're just here to reinvigorate that in a stronger way here in Minneapolis. I understand the tensions that, we have with, immigrant communities, and including Black immigrant communities. But I too agree that at the end of the day, we are one. And if we're not here talking about what's important, because we're also impacted by ICE, right? We're impacted by how the schools are closing and parents have to shift and leave and, in a moment's notice without having proper childcare, right? Loss of job, loss of opportunity. There's a lot of ways that we're impacted. And as Brother Malik said, we're the front people on the line of police brutality. We are posting all these memes right now saying, hey, we're ICE, the local police is our ICE, blah, blah, blah. So we're not unfamiliar with these things, and we can't be unfamiliar right now. I hear the conversations. I know there's lots to talk about, and folks are like, this is their fight. It's not our fight. Well, we're not immigrants and blah, blah, blah. I understand that. But at the same time, as Brother Malik stated, police brutality, police issues, it are our issues, right? So before there was ICE, there was the slave catchers, right? Those folks. So we've got a long history of this in this country, and we are the leaders in this work. We're the people who encourage other people to fight and stand up for what's right and for their human rights. And so folks are looking for us to be a part of it, not just because of that, but because we are still impacted every single day. They're picking us up too, right? While they have to release us, we are still being detained, right? We're being followed, right? They're in our neighborhoods. All sorts of things are happening right now that ain't making it to the front scene. But believe it or not, Black folks are affected. Now, I get the conspiracies, and then I'll go ahead and wrap it up and let you all continue of, hey, they're trying to provoke us. They're trying to, blah, blah, blah. I get it. And I agree that there is a level of that, right? From those neoconservatives and et cetera, that wants to incite something much bigger. But my thing is this: we can move in what they're trying to do or what we're trying to do, right? And I would caution that we focus on our interests and our agenda, and that is to really still continue to fight for our human and civil rights, because all of that is up. Because while we're also under this ICE, Trump is removing artifacts of Black history in this country every single day. He's erasing our history and the things that we've done and fought for. He's still putting together segregation laws that make it legal for Black people, for white folks, or anybody to discriminate against others. And so there's a lot that is happening right now beyond ICE that we're affected by, that we need to understand and get in the game. And if we're not voicing, being the voice of reason for ourselves and for our interests, then we're going to kick back and we're going to be like, yeah, let them fight. By the time that gets done, we're going to be almost wiped out. So we got to stand up, and that's it.
Thank you so much. In my office, I have an influx of police cases and allegations since Donald Trump has come into office. In Washington, D.C., since he sent 1,000 or so National Guard, I just saw them out in Southeast Washington, D.C. marching around. Black youth, the level of incarceration has been a 30% jump in the incarceration and criminalization of Black youth from America in Washington, D.C. that are locked up in the youth detention camp as a direct result of Donald Trump's federal police action for National Guard.
He was on TV the last week in a press conference bragging about how safe Washington, D.C. is now.
In my world, in my legal world, there's no difference between the National Guard and ICE. Pardon my language, but as a Panther, a pig is a pig is a pig is a pig is a pig. Okay. So let's not see we used to running and saying it's not we don't really want to fight because we face a powerful enemy. So we can't duck the fact that right now that our levels of police brutality and incarceration behind Donald Trump are going up. They're skyrocketing. And the federal law enforcement, I mean, this is an administration that has rolled back every Department of Justice investigation into civil rights violations. He pulled out of Minneapolis. He pulled out of Memphis. He tried to pull out of my city where I got the Rankin County Goon Squad. He tried to pull out of Rankin County, but he couldn't. But all over the country, he's pushed back viciously against prosecuting police officers or even paying attention to police brutality. So what we're trying to do is we know that this is a powerful enemy, and we know that this is a powerful president, and fear will cause people to try to lose consciousness in reality and to only protect themselves. Okay, but that's not the way we're going to do this. So that's why we want y'all to come on and talk. That's why we want to see you at our forums because and ultimately the final argument is that if you don't pay attention to what's happening to someone else, a so-called immigrant, I say so-called immigrant because if you'll start to sound like an Uncle Tom if you keep saying, well, I'm an American citizen. I'm an American citizen. Well, what are you saying? You're going to ratify America's colonial borders? You're ratifying these borders that wiped out the Indians and the indigenous people and the brown people. You're going to do border patrol now. You're going to become
you're the guy in that Tarantino movie. What's that movie called? The brother that what's his name played in Tarantino's movie. What's that movie called? Kenya? That Samuel Jackson played. Django. So people taking the taking the position that what's his name, Samuel Jackson played. He was so in love with his master, right? And too many of us are sounding like that. That the master is our God, and that our only salvation and safety is in bending a knee before that altar and showing to him we not like them other black people, that we not your problem, right? Yeah. And to the degree that we maintain that kind of foolishness, it's just a question of time before they roll on us wholesale, as they have been and as they will do. That's what I think.
There's a segment of trauma that people, are holding that is blinding us from being able to see the full picture. And we're thinking about, just how we feel about just the issues between us and the broader diaspora. Let's be honest. We know those issues continue to be there, right? But they have blinded us, right, to being able to look at the bigger picture. And I would just say we don't have to look too much further. We can stay right here in Minneapolis for examples, because just over the past year, the federal government came through and swooped up over 100 black men off these streets. All right. And ain't nobody said a word about that.
Mhm.
Nobody. We applauded it because they criminals in our minds,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
Because of all the things they laid out that they've done and all the violence and everything that's off the streets, which we are, we don't want that, of course. But that was 100 Black men swooped up out of Minneapolis and St. Paul in one year, intentionally led by the federal government that our local mayors folks are still proud of. They're proud of getting those folks off the streets. This is what they say in their press conferences all the time. There's no legal support for these brothers. Ain't nobody stood up to make sure that these convictions are even proper. Nobody. They just got put away. And their families are destroyed behind that in our communities. Those are our sons. Those are our brothers. Those are our cousins. And nobody said a word. And so I'm just saying that this is happening locally already. The National Guard is for the Black people. They're in Tennessee. They're in NOLA. I just left NOLA. They posted up. They're everywhere. And the ICE is for the immigrants and the National Guard. And I will never forget the statement that he made that made me put chills in my body when he talked about looking at the criminal records of people and figuring out who he can deport or send to another country for prison. Who you think he's talking about? Absolutely. He's talking about foundational Black Americans. So I'm all about that. Black people first. I do know and believe we have to have our own agenda. That's true, but not exclusively. It ain't enough of us alone, right, to be able to take on this fight, right? We can stand firm in it. We 50 million deep in this country. 100%. But that is not enough alone. We've got to collaborate and be able to see the bigger picture, right? And not forgetting our own, for sure. But the things are happening to us right now in our own cities. And just like Brother Malik talked about Washington, D.C., I'm telling you about Minneapolis. Same thing, same government, right? And so it's happening. It doesn't have to say ICE. It's happening. So we got to be informed and engaged. Even at caucus last night, I made a resolution to to amend the ICE resolution that they had and say, listen, that's great. All this money being raised for all these folks impacted by ICE that are only for immigrants. We're also impacted. We need to get some of that money. So, making sure that there's consideration for how we also be supported through this process. If we're not there putting our voice and issues on the table, then they won't be seen or known. We got a dog in this fight.
Okay. And we want to say, as a beautiful statement, as a premise, there is no time in the history of our sojourn in America, especially this time, where our people, Black people, don't need to be organizing and uniting to fight our fight. And unless you're going to concede and say our fight is over, and nobody is insane enough to, pardon me, nobody is insane or unwise enough to say that our problem is solved. Otherwise, we wouldn't be on the show. So there's no time in our history, whether Bill Clinton is in office, Obama's in office, and certainly Donald Trump in office, pardon me, where we as a people don't need to organize. And that's why we want to see you at the Thor building on Penn Avenue on Saturday, because whether you 100% agree with us or 90% agree with us, you must agree with us that our leadership must come together. Sister Kenya has said that with our people under attack, that there's a lack of Black lawyers. Unfortunately, I'm not throwing shade on nobody. There's a lack of Black legal action around America, and specifically in Minnesota. That's why they're calling me from out of town to Minnesota to help. Because if there was more legal help, then that issue she described and other issues would have been handled already. So regardless of your take on any issue, no one can disagree that we must have strong leadership. We must have a united front. We must address our issues and make proactive plans. And that's what we're doing.
Kenya Dora is asking again to give her the times for the Thor meeting.
Yes,
What
and
time?
please, by all means, Brother Malik Rap, finish it to the end. I need to jump.
3:30, we're going to be at the George Floyd Center. I, Attorney Malik Shabazz, on behalf of Black Lawyers for Justice, and I'm going to meet other lawyers from Minnesota Black legal attorneys there. We're going to meet at the George Floyd Square, and we're going to be teaching how to deal with the police, whether they're state, federal, or National Guard police. I'm doing a training class, and I'm coming with training materials to help empower our people on how to deal with the police. Okay, the Black Panther movement is coming into town because they're planning on advancing police patrols in the Black community all around the country. Okay, and at the town hall meeting is national leaders and local leaders going to be getting together, and we choose Minneapolis. We choose Minneapolis because you're the hottest city in the country, and you have been probably the hottest city in the country, and there's something divine about Minneapolis being chosen. You are chosen in Minneapolis, whether you like it or not. George Floyd has come to your doorstep. Donald Trump has come to your doorstep. God is knocking on the door of Minneapolis for a reason. And so we expect a strong turnout on Saturday at the George Floyd Center, 3:30, at the Thor Building Conference Room at 5 o'clock p.m. Come on and meet with us, and we're going to have good news that we're fighting back. We are fighting back. Okay? I got to get to my practice. My line is ringing off the hook. I'm honored to be blessed, Mr. McFarlane. You're a great brother. Look forward to meeting you too. Bless you. Okay.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you. And we'll see you when you get here. And we can do this again and again and again. This is the beginning.
We will. We come with the results. We're going to come out with some results on Saturday. Thank you.
All right, sir.
Thank you, Malik.
So Kenya, thank you for setting this up. Kenya, let's hang out a little bit. And, I was thinking, I maybe mentioned this to you on the phone, maybe I didn't, but I've been saying this to people. A lot of people say that we can't be deported because we are foundational Black Americans. We're born here, we're natives, we're citizens here. And my response to that line of thought is, look at who we're dealing with. If we came here, imports, that's how we got here. We were imported. And if a person could figure out how to import you, they can figure out how to deport you. It's one and the same, two sides of the same coin. And so the person that conceived of the utility of bringing you here en masse, right, as an import, as an enslaved human being, stealing your life, your liberty, your labor, your children, and your children's children, inflicting on you a system that all of the children that you bore became enslaved as well. Yes. How inhumane is that? And so I think we are short-sighted when we say
we can't be deported.
That's it. Yeah.
You know, for those of us who came here, I have to rep for that percentage of, foundational Black Americans who are indigenous to this land. And
they arrested indigenous people too, trying to ship them somewhere.
Oh, 1,000%. But no, I'm just saying that first of all, they can't have it both ways, right? As they're weighing this citizenship, this birthright citizenship issue, which, by and far is really all, not even by, but all really related to, African Americans, who, enslaved African folks who, basically was giving birth, right? Of course, to all of us who are here, those of us who are here. And right now, the Supreme Court is weighing if, the immigrant community is able to use the birthright citizenship clause in our Constitution that says basically we can't be deported, right? Because, we have this birthright for being born through slavery. And so, so if I'm just saying that to say that, that will be the solidification of us legally not being allowed to be deported. But we understand that we're dealing with an administration that's reforming what the legal laws and everything means. Yeah. There's a school of thought.
That's like them using the Klan law to arrest and prosecute Don Lemon.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. And so just because it's the law don't mean it's right and don't mean it's moral, right?
Yeah. I mean, and so I'm saying that to say that, they can't have it both ways,
Yeah.
So, but I do know that there's also a school of thought of, that some of the, indigenous Black folks are Haitians as well, right? And so with that being the case, some of them look and speak the same dialect that we do. And so that being the case, that how would they identify and know the difference? And so we also have to walk around with our documents and things like that, so we don't be fooled and thinking that we can't be questioned or identified, because some of them don't know the difference between who we are. We assuming that these are just white folks. No, they got all kind of folks, who are doing this, who may not understand the difference in our identities as diaspora people, because a lot of us look and speak the same, under this.
And if we think it matters to any of them, shame on us.
You're gonna have to verify who you are. So we need to be walking around with documents as well, and not just assume. I mean, yeah, when some of us talk, but no, you need to make sure, just to make sure you take care of yourself and walk around with your documents as well. It's really important. Because I mean, some of these folks is being deported within 24 hours. I mean, they mess around and deport you, and you ain't even had a chance to, really call nobody. We don't know nobody's phone number no more, because it's all in the phone.
You've been disappearing. Yeah.
So we've got to do our due diligence too, because we are on the chopping block. And even if you're not, you see what they're doing to the Black leaders here in Minneapolis, where they arrested how many within a week, within a few weeks. Nakima, Chantel, Georgia, Jamal, Taryn, right? I mean, just like that, right? And so that's what they're doing to us, and they putting those federal marks on them, right? So they can tap into them, and keep coming back to harass and different things. And so we've got to be protected as well. We're not without protection. I mean, we're not without
capabilities.
Well, we don't have a, there's a target on our back as well. You understand? We're not just under a clean slate out here where they're just like, oh, we're going to leave them alone. The African American. No.
So we're not without risk, you're saying. We're at risk as well.
1,000%. We're at risk for speaking out, right?
Yep.
We're at risk. I mean, as soon as we stand up, they just want to snatch us.
Yeah.
And so it's a little scary, but it's necessary. If you don't stand up and speak out, about our lives, how we're impacted, and also the future we want for ourselves, because now is the time to strike.
They can get you now or get you later. If you quiet, they'll get you later. You speak out, they get you now, but you're going to got. That's the issue.
And the people
if they have their way. But the question is, we don't have to let them have their way. And we have to, I think, and that's what this Saturday is about, is teaching, organizing, sharing information, strategy, knowledge, creating linkages, a network of support, so that we arm our community with the knowledge, the tools, the strategies to be safe, to navigate, and to also continue pressing against the oppression that is barefaced now.
That's right.
And I people were saying 25 was bad. I think 26 is going to be worse.
Well,
it's worse already. Don't get worse.
25 was just the beginning. We got a right to exist, right? And we got a right to fight, right, for our lives and for what's important for us. We've been maneuvering and working with what has been given to us, but we're God's people. It's time for us to get out here and really do the work of creating the future we want and being willing to go through the fire we need to have it. We got to do that. I mean, when we look at our conditions around the country and even here in Minneapolis, right? I know some of us might be a little bit more comfortable here because of all the resources and all this other thing, but that isn't necessarily economic justice. That isn't really getting our people across the line where we need to be, right? We've got to be able to create this future, and we won't have it if we ain't fighting for it, if we ain't working for it, if we ain't standing out here in the space for it. And this ain't just about ICE. This is about everything we need. Now that this is open, we need to go in for everything. We're impacted by all the fraud, right? A lot of our contracts are, being questioned, right? The resources are being closed. Our people need those services. They can't get them. We need to be fighting for all these things. This ICE closing the schools. I mean, the public schools closing as a way to manage ICE. All these things impact us. The jobs, while they're saying that now they don't have workers because of the ICE. Ain't nobody trying to hire us. They're not putting it out there. And so there's a lot for us to talk about and fight for right now in this moment. This is the moment. You're focused on ICE. You need to be focused on the Black agenda, the Black stability, the Black future. 50% of Black children in Minnesota are born under poverty, not in, under poverty. And it's our job to figure out how to make sure that stops. Right? This is a time for us to go in. He's talking about cutting the federal funds to the state of Minnesota. Who do you think is on the chopping block? We're on the chopping block for that. What are we going to do for ourselves? How are we going to support all these families who need housing? What kind of jobs are we creating for ourselves? What resources are we producing to take care of our people? It's essential that we do that, right? While you want to talk about, ICE and, we shouldn't be worried about nobody, we better be thinking about a collaborative strategy for how we going to move and take care of ourselves and work in connection with other people. It's a people's movement right now. It's a movement of humanity right now. You don't have to agree with ICE in the sense of what they're doing. Or you don't have to. Some folks are like, let Trump do his job and get some of them out because okay. If that's where you are, okay. But then what? How does that help your people? Like, if we sit back and just let him do his thing, what about the thing that still need to be done for your people? It don't change. It's not going to automatically create more jobs for us. Who you think gunning for you? Folks weren't gunning for you before the immigration went, before it bust open. No one's gonna be gunning for you after that. We still have to do the work. The work is not like something that we can just negate. It's not about the immigrant communities. It's about what we need to be doing for ourselves and our future, and getting out of this like talking on the sideline. Get to work and stay to work. Nobody can do everything, but everybody can do something. Keep doing it.
That's right. Well, Kenya, great words, great spirit.
I was trying to yell, my bad.
No, I think we need to yell. we need to scream. It's screaming time right now.
No pressure, no diamonds.
No pressure, no diamonds, right? It's time for the diamonds to stand up and show up and do your thing. So let's invite people again. We're at the end of the show here. Invite people. And so if you are checking us out on Facebook or YouTube, send this link to this show out to your networks. Just let them know we have this important conversation. We'll be here tomorrow again in conversation, talking about this and other things. And if you want to be part, if you want to suggest guests for the show, we'd love to have more guests. Maybe other members of the event Saturday can come through tomorrow to give us different attitudes or different elements or aspects of this work for the leadership conference. But invite people, Kenya, to the events one more time.
Yeah. So, once again, Saturday, February 8th, attorney Malik Zulu Shabazz, along with several others, will be here in Minneapolis putting on an emergency Black Leadership Summit. It will begin by meeting up at the state capitol for those who want to meet, where him and Brother Jonathan will be, going around and really just building on, the need for Black leadership to stand up around Black issues, etc. Then we're going to meet up at the George Floyd Square, specifically at the Listen to Us studio, which is located at 3730 Chicago Avenue, where there will be a press conference of Black attorneys who will be engaged in a legal training on how to deal with legal issues. It relates to police brutality, police issues, ICE, but also just general issues in the Black community. We'll be providing free legal services to Black people too. So, you want some insight, you got things going on, you want to know, get some perspective. Now is the time. The advice from the attorneys will be free. It's about making sure you're equipped with the right knowledge, information. And then after that, at 5:00, we're going to be over north at 1256 Penn Avenue North on the 5th floor. You'll see signage. There's a parking ramp. Please come in and park inside. And there is where we'll have a big discussion and some action led by panelists of local and national leaders, really talking about the Black agenda, doing some base building. This is where we need all of our people to come. We'll have food, let's convene. It's the conversation.
Let
Oh,
me shout out Dora Jones. Dora, thank you for your
yes.
comments in the chat.
Dora.
Susan, thank you for your thumbs up. And John Martin, thank you for your thumbs up as well. And we want to keep this conversation going every day, at least 4 days a week,
Yes.
Tuesday through Fridays. We'll be here. And it's a kind of an open mic situation. We want you to bring your passion, your concerns, your fears, and your prayers, your hopes, your plans to build a future in which we win. With that, Kenya, thank you so much. We'll see you later. I'm Al
All right,
McFarland.
cousin. All right.
Take care.
So